So, welcome to MRU E-Learning, powered by Mallareddy University. Myself, Dr. S. Sachinayana, professor in Department of Artificial Intelligence Machine Learning. In this e-learning top, a generative AI innovation from fundamentals to advanced retrieval argument projects we are delivering. So, the basic contents of this talk, the fundamental artificial intelligence idea to convert into generative AI, what are the market scopes in a generative AI market, and what type of opportunities are there in generative AI, and what type of projects when you are doing real time in generative AI scopes. Different types of ideology we'll going to present in these talks. The first and fundamental idea of artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence, when you design any artificial intelligence product or tool, the main intuition is to understand the system. After that, based on the understanding, to make it as a reasoning capabilities. After that, to make it as a language understanding. So different types of language to convert and speech recognition. My idea of artificial intelligence is to look like a tool to mimic the human brains, to understand and to reasoning, to speech recognition, and multiple language recognition also is possible because of artificial intelligence. The most of the core components of artificial intelligence, the learning capability, reasoning capability, self-correction capability, and perception capability. If you design any artificial intelligence project, then these are the core components are there in the artificial intelligence. Now we'll look at the complete hierarchy of the artificial intelligence. The big O will represent, entire O will represent artificial intelligence. On top of the subdomain is a machine learning. The machine learning part will take it as whatever the machine learning main objective is to predict or to calibrate or to clusters. These are the main objects. What are the main machine learning system? Machine learning system to apply a mathematical and statistical techniques by applying a small data sets to find whether the model is to predict or to classify or to clusters. These are the main intuition of the machine learning system. In that, image like audio systems cannot work on sometimes in a machine learning process. Then to introduce the one subfield is deep learning is a neuron based architectures. That's a neuron is nothing but a formula like input multiplied bias, input multiplied weight plus bias. That formula to integrate to find the most of the thing is classification purpose and image recognition purpose. And also sometimes you can use clusters purpose. That purpose they are using a deep learning systems. Deep learning is one type of mathematical intuition, but that mathematical intuition is look like a neuron. After that, the subfield today's talk most concentrated, we call it as a generative AI. Generative AI is nothing but a subfield of deep learning. When you are to apply a generative AI mechanisms or algorithms, the basic idea is to create new content or new text or new audios or new videos or that new code. So that will purpose you can apply a generative AI. So in that, so another one is a reinforcement learning concept. A reinforcement learning is nothing but a trial and error process. It is a machine learning part. So whenever algorithm will runs, main objective of reinforcement learning to accumulate the maximize reward and to minimize the risk. So whenever an algorithm will run, for example, if you take a LLM, to LLMs, the backend will work reinforcement learning pedagogy. So what is the main theme of reinforcement learning? To find the max rewards. So based on the queries and to minimize the risk. Most of the stock market related algorithms, they are applying a reinforcement learning. So agents, next one in 2025 year, we call it as agentic AI. Agents means nothing but a reinforcement learning. Each agent will come is work as a reinforcement learning algorithm. That means a reinforcement learning to the power of n is called agentic AI. This is the main hierarchy of the all artificial emerging areas of ecosystem. Now we look at the complete evolution of artificial intelligence. The mostly started in 1950, the birth of AI. After that, so now in 2025, all companies are migrating generative AI. So most $1 billion are companies generated by using generative AI concept. So different types of application, now healthcare applications, finance application, transportation, and daily life also we are applying different types of AI application. Those applications to convert into generative AI models. That is the main intuition of the latest year ends. So, coming to the artificial intelligence, three types of artificial intelligence ages are there. Narrow AI. So, this narrow AI will only focus on problem solving. So, after that, a general AI. After 2024 onwards, most of the big companies or machine learning type companies, they are researching on general AI. So it's equal to human level of type of working. After that, after maybe 2050 will come super AI models. It takes autonomously. That's exceeds the human intelligence in all domains. Nowadays cannot be possible. It may be a futuristic model. So now we look at some basic ideology of whenever a work is there. So what artificial intelligence person will do, machine learning person will do, deep learning person will do, and generative AI person will do, and reinforcement learning person will do, and agentic AI person will do. I have a data set. My data set is a patient data. The patient data is a EHR reports, image reports, genomics reports, and clinical notes are there. So I want to classify that data. General AI purpose will taken as a general decision making frameworks. Only if you are expertise in a artificial intelligence expert, that person will do a task of general decision making of whatever the data input data. If you are expertise in a machine learning person, that person will train the model. Based on the training, based on the patient record, sometimes it may be use a prediction. Sometimes you can use a classification. Sometimes you can use a regressions, cluster. That purpose you can use machine learning. That model is mostly SQL type data, like a structured data. When you are applying machine learning, most of the data is just structured. If you have a image data is there in a machine learning, then we'll go to a deep learning expert will do Tagore river. So we can find the image scans. Lot of scans are the image scans. Then find the best decision by using deep learning techniques. Most of the techniques are CNN, RNN, or transformer techniques when you are using. After that, the very important thing, generative AI. So generative AI to write a report based on the whatever the reports. For example, in a hospital, every day 500 patients are coming. So based on the patient reports, they finally figure out a generated report. With respect to patient, one report generated. With respect to doctor, one report generated. With respect to hospital management, one more report generated. That report will identify the backend will work machine learning, deep learning, and some generative AI techniques. So if we come into the reinforcement learning is nothing but a trial and error process. If the algorithm is a good mode, then, so what is the main objective of reinforcement learning? It's applicable of maximize the reward. So once reward is happening, then our reinforcement learning is to adapt some policies. Based on the policies to find the agentic AIs. Agentic AI will find it planning and reasoning and interaction. This is the complete framework of AI decision making algorithms. So now the future, the generative AI. Generative AI, what is the meaning? I told you in previously, it contains new and original content based on the patterns of the learning from the training data. So what type of data they are producing? Some techniques are using text generation. Some generative AI techniques are using image synthesis. Some techniques are using code generation. Some techniques are nowadays billion-dollar companies are working on these models. Music, video, audio creation purpose, they are using generative AI tech. So when you are comparing traditional AI models and generative AI models. Traditional AI models, I can apply some analyze and predict only. Whereas to be generative AI models, I can apply create and generate new content. Whereas to be traditional AI models, only applicable for classification and decision making. Generative AI is applicable for new content creation based on the image, based on the client queries. And also traditional models will look at recognition or detection models. Whereas to be a generative AI, we can apply some synthesis and creation. And also most of the AI models are spam filters, facial recognition models they are using. But in generative AI, you can use DALL-E or ChatGPT models. So very important thing, when your traditional models are a discriminative models. Here, your model is a generative model. That is the difference between a traditional AI and a generative AI. I have taken one more question, one example I have taken. So whether the mail is a spam mail or not, that means a binary classification problem, yes or no. We represent yes or no. So when you are expertise in generative AI, we can write a professional email about that context. then generative AI creates that one. That is the basic difference, general artificial intelligence and generative AI. So now we look at the very important growth. So many jobs are available when you look at generative AI market. So in 2023, 40 billion projects. In 2024, 60 billion, 67 billion. By expecting 2020, 1.3 trillion jobs. So that is the market size is there. That means so many requirement is there in market. Most of the key drivers are there applying LLMs, enterprise level LLMs, and cloud infrastructure is booming. And also venture capitalists are most of expenses. They are investing on startups nearly $25 billion in the span of 23-24. So many generative AI products they are designed. Now we look at different types of jobs are available. The primary level research scientist or ML engineer or AI safety engineer, generative AI solutions. At more than 80K to nearly 500K salaries are there in US markets. So different in India and US, European markets, so many jobs are available when you are expertise in generative AI. That's why it is the fastest growing tech career in the continuous expansion of by 2030. So what are the skills when you join as a generative AI expert? These are the skills. The core technical skills is very important. That is called, we call it as a machine learning, deep learning. Why I am telling the first slide I have given, when you are expertise in machine learning and deep learning, after that generative AI expert will come. And also some programming language. Most of the people are using, most of the companies are using Python, and CUDA is a GPU type models. Mathematics, so linear algebra, probability, very important. And transformer techniques, attention mechanisms, and computer vision. Most of the problems are computer vision. And also some frameworks are there. So like Hugging Face, long chain, llama index, different types of frameworks only used for a generative AI. And also some latest tools when you are using generative AI, like OpenAI model, ChatGPTs, like Google Gemini, Anthropic cloud models, and stable AI, Midjourney. These are the powerful models when you are expertise in generative AI systems. Definitely you know it. And also infrastructures. This is a model for infrastructure. One thing is very important. So generative AI expert is expertise only vector DBs. We can't work on normal SQL database. Like SQL or Oracle database cannot work on generative AI expert. Generative AI expert will work on vector DBs, the latest one like FISS, Milvus, Pinecone, different types of vector DBs are there. Then those vector DBs, we can find the similarity. What similarity? For example, the text similarity, image similarity, audio similarity, those will only work on vector DBs only. After that, some specialized prompt engineering, fine-tuning mechanism, and also retrieval argument models when you are, and model evolution, and also API, and latestly we use MCP integration also. These are the techniques when you are learn, then you can become a generative AI expert. So many jobs are there. Then you can expertise one of the programming language, one of the vector DB, and one of the embedding techniques. These are called embedding techniques, and also one of the API integrations. Then you find the better jobs in a generative AI ecosystems. So the generative AI, different types of models are there. So I can classify it as a 3 types of models. One is probabilistic model, hybrid model, and transformer based model. The probabilistic models, so almost 20 years back, they are like variational autoencoders and GANs, diffusion models, four-based models, EBM models. These are the old models. So old models, most of the text to text. So they can work text to text or text to image. These models. Nowadays, the multimodal. Multimodal means, for example, I want text to text, I want text to image, I want text to audio, I want text to video, like vice versa, text to text, image to text, and audio to video, and video to text. Like this model to apply hybrid models. And latest one, transformer models. From 2024 onwards, so many companies are using transformer. Why? Because the most error loss function, almost zero, is happening by using transformer techniques. That's why you can learn oldest models and latest hybrid models, and latest one 2025 models also you can apply in a generative AI model context. So most of the techniques are four broadly, six types of techniques are there. This is variational encoders, GANs, and diffusion models, and flows model, transformer models, autoregressive. But very important thing is two models, diffusion and transformer, are very important when you are expertise in generative AI. For example, GANs, most of the use for image generation. Whereas variational autoencoders, that they can use a compression, data compression purpose. A diffusion models, image and audio generation purpose you using. Transformer, text and code purpose they are using. So these models are useful when you are based on your task. The task is nothing but to create new content. The content is nothing but sometimes text generation, sometimes audio generation, sometimes video generation. But some models are working based on your content. Some, for example, latestly diffusion models are using text to image possible, text to audio possible, text to video possible by using diffusion models. For example, a transformer. Transformer is a multimodal. Text to text, again text to image, image to text, like different types of models when you are applying. Like that, different types of GAN architecture, when you discuss first and foremost GAN architecture. In a GAN architecture, two types are there. One is generator and another one is discriminator. So generator is taken as a data input. Based on the generator, we can find whether the image is real or fake. Here what will happen, the first example, we can take a data. So data is nothing but image. After that, a generator. In that generator, you can upload some image, the real image. Finally, we figure out that the image is real or fake. Based on the generator, when you are applying a discriminator, finally your output is whether the video or image is real or fake. This is the oldest algorithm. 15 years back, we discovered the GAN applications. After that, variational autoencoder is a very simple model, look like a PCA algorithms, principal component analysis. What is the principal component analysis? To find the best principal components. In that means, for example, a data is there, data to convert into low latent space. After that, final data, D data will convert into data. Finally, we figure out, for example, I have taken D dash data. This is D double dash. Finally, we figure out D dash will equal to D double dash. So this is the main agenda of the variational autoencoders. So we look at some of the example for variational autoencoders. So this first one is a principal component analysis. The principal component analysis, what is the first process? I have some data set. Input, I have taken some data. After that, I can compute the centroid of the data. Based on the centroid, I can convert into some covariance matrix. What is the importance of covariance? To find the best directions. I want best direction of the data. The only best direction will find the best decision making. That purpose, covariance is useful. After that, based on the covariance, I can find eigen decomposition. Based on the eigen decomposition, finally we figure out best eigen values. Then finally we figure out reduced whatever that data. That means finally x dash is similarly equal to x dash. So what is that meaning? So you have x data has 100 features are there. So my x dash has only finally 2 or 3 features. Without loss of the originality information, I can use 2 or 3 features to find the best results. The same idea is replicated in variational autoencoders. So that is a model when you are. So here I am using image to generate some more image. Like that, another example I have taken. My example is the text to image generation by using variational autoencoder. What is the process? I have taken text image. My image text, I have taken text. The text, I have entered a prompt, a red car on the road. What is the next step? This text image to convert into embedding technique. What type of embedding I am using? Best embedding technique, best embedding technique I am using. Based on the embedding technique, encoding is there, one encoder, and one decoder is there. Then to convert into latent space. Then finally we can decode. Finally we generate the image. That means whatever the prompt you are entered, that prompt will convert into image. So how much percentage when you are accuracy? It mostly almost 80% only. When you are applying variational autoencoder, 80% possible. So when you apply the second one, same thing, image to audio. Image, I have taken image, then I can find audio. Here, What is the technique I am using? Image processing technique, image feature extraction. Previous technique is text to image. In that one, I use embedding techniques. Here I am using feature extractor techniques. The process is same. Embedding encoder is there, decoder is there, latent space and decoder. Then finally we figure out based on the prompt, we can generate the audio. Like that, a diffusion model. Diffusion model is nothing but a reverse model. When you apply a image, you add on some noise. After that, once noise is clear, then we can denoise it. Then we can find the clear image purpose, most of the diffusion techniques. It is a powerful technique. It can possible text to text, text to image, and text to audio. So most of the 90% possible when you are applying a diffusion models. Next one, we'll figure out transformer. This is the latest one. Mostly 98% possible a generative AI task. So this can apply some attention mechanism. That attention is nothing but a softmax attention mechanism. Then only we can possible whatever the text. As I'm given a prompt, my prompt is also same 98% text will give it. And also image also possible. And also audio is possible. And also video possible. And also code also possible. Like that, this transformer techniques. The transformer techniques they are applying started in 2017. Now we will apply 2025 the transform. Now recently, the December month, Meta is discovered another techniques, MOE, mixture of expert techniques. In 2026, mostly transformer not working. Maybe MOE is working on by using generative AI process. It is a continuous process. Some of the techniques, auto-regressive, for example, image sequences, model purpose, they are using auto-regressive techniques. Most of the GLOW or real-time NV, we can use pixels. For example, pixel CNN purpose also auto-regressive techniques where you are using. So one thing is the hallucination problem. That means, for example, you can enter a prompt, but whatever the query is not suitable that prompt. So that is the problem is there in most of the generative AI projects. That purpose, one of the important techniques they observed, that technique call it as a RAG. RAG is nothing but a retrieval augment generation. This technique you can use the standard projects when you are in-house projects. When you apply a RAG technique, will get a better answers more than the general open systems. So for example, you can take RAG systems. RAG is a combination of, so in-house some LLMs are there and also to generate the content based on the user queries. The user is wants based on the in-house projects. That is possible because of RAGs. RAG, what is the process they are using? User is some prompt, then retrieval argument system. That retrieval argument system is nothing but one type of prompt. They are busy with context. The context is related to LLM response will come. The grounded response will come based on the context. That will be applied by RAG. For example, if you take one of the project we have completed recently, that medical report generated. What did that means? We have taken 3 hospitals, nearly 1,000 patients will come every day. So they are processing 500 plus reports. So at the end, the doctor wants reports with respect to patient and patient want reports with respect to patient and management want the management of the doctors. So that these are reported. That purpose we generated by using generative AI techniques. So that is a previous problem is, so whenever a report study, it takes almost 30 to 45 minutes of each patient. And also based on the error rate is also very high. And also inconsistent formatting. And also doctor sometimes cannot clear writing. By using technological stuff, that's mean generative AI, we are making a reports within 10 minutes. So based on the patient record to enter, generative AI will generate based on the different categories, doctor-wise category, patient-wise category, hospital administration category. This can be applied, we tested as 95% accuracy. And also most of the doctors, 85% doctors satisfied. It is not possible 100%. So, and also to save 15 hours per week each doctor. This is the main important of when you are using generative AI methodologies. Now we'll look at some more project ideas also. Some of the projects we have encountered, some code document bot. So what is the input? The source code repository we have taken. You can apply RAG techniques. Then you can add some API docs, outputs. What is that? Based on what is the source code repository is there, you can apply RAG. Finally, we can find out API docs and with explanation. So the goal is 90% cover in this project. And another project, the legal contract analyzer. That means you can apply so many laws in that PDF inputs, PDF formats, almost 1,000 PDFs per day. Then to apply some OpenAI, Cloud you can use, and vector search, vector DB. And finally, only impact is 60% faster review. If you take another project like personalized learning assistance, so nowadays the course material, students' purpose, course material with respect to queries we can ask the student. Then you can apply technique GPT-4 and a Facebook similarity research. Then we can 85% satisfaction is there. Then another one, financial news analyzer. So that is a summarization. Nowadays all stock market related. So real-time feeds is there. Then you apply. Here see this one. I am applying legal contract analyze. Claude is the very best method. The personalized learning analysis, GPT is the best method. Our financial analyzer, we can use Gemini. Our Perplexity is also nowadays there. So another project, design asset generator. They are using stable diffusion. Almost this one is $30 per month. So and customer support chatbots. They are using RAG and conversational chat. So like the different projects nowadays, all projects to migrate general AI, that is a traditional AI project to convert into generative AI. So that's why so much scope is there when you are entering a generative AI scope. Lot of business models are there. Lot of companies to migrate generative AI. So what is that? I have taken one real-time project. So what is that? I have data streams. So online data when you are based on the online data with real-time processing. The processing technique you can use Kafka. So after that, the different types of embedding techniques are there. So for example, the medical data, BET model you can use, or you can use RAG models. Different types of embeddings, so almost 10 embeddings are there nowadays. Based on embedding, vector DB will look after. So vector DB will find similarity. After that, RAG system will develop. After that, one LLM will integrate. Finally, we figure out the responses based on the queries. That is the model when you are real-time projects, when you are doing in a industries. So what is that? Here, streaming purpose, all people are using Apache, Kafka and Radius streams. And embeddings, embedding techniques, test embedding techniques they are using. And vector DB, mostly Radius and Malversed datasets and FIS datasets. And Gemini, LLMs, most of the people are Gemini is cost free. And also deployment process, they are using Kubernetes and GPU integrations. So most of the thing is, it can be applied 1,000 plus concurrent users also we can apply in the same time. That means we can apply a query, 1,000 plus concurrent users also, then your responses will come. Different types of problems when you are using. For example, for student purpose, we have a problem is healthcare. So doctors spend 50% of time on documentation, delayed diagnostics. What is the generative AI solution? The technique you can use medical LLMs with respect to RAG. Application, auto-generated reports and differential diagnostics possible. What are the tools when you are using? Malversed is a database, vector database. Most of the time 60% time saving possible and 95% and 85% only is data satisfied by using generative AI. And also finance domain, I will take another problem. Financial manual fraud detection. It's a very slow puzzle. What is the solution of generative AI? You can use variational autoencoder with respect to LLMs. After that, we can apply a real-time fraud alerts. Then you can tools. What are the tools? PyTorch and GPT-4, streaming racks. And also the impact is 90% fraud detection possible and 70% faster research. What is the ultimate goal of generative AI? We can make it as a faster. Like that, another legal domain. Legal domain also. Nowadays, all startup companies, they find with uploading of PDFs, they find different types of legal opinions. That purpose, they are using legals. And education domain, personalized learning purpose, they are using generative AI. Nowadays, e-commerce, so many products are like Amazon products. Each product specification, each product image really relevant. That purpose they are using e-commerce. E-commerce also, most of the Amazon products they are using stable diffusion, image generation. For example, if you upload a pen, immediately different types of images will generate it by using diffusions. Then based on the customer satisfaction will follow by using generative AI. Nowadays, manufacturing also they are using, like computer vision models they are using. Almost 20% cost saving is happening. So in media and real estate, so many companies are medias also. Media is the most powerful techniques they are using generative AI techniques. Content manager, every content person they are using generative AI. Real estate persons, nowadays different types of models are there. Those models will generate house construction, everything. The cost reduction models are there. And also customer services very important. Based on the query, sometimes different types of queries will form, but based on the RAG application we can find the best satisfaction queries based on the users. And also very important, cyber security. The cyber security models also you can use. Splunk is the latest integration they are using cyber security solution. That solution is a threat evaluation, alert figure, and slow incidents response they are using. These are the different techniques we adapted generative AI solution for different 10 types of domain. So like that we can apply different types cross platforms. Generative AI is a different types of models. When you develop any generative AI techniques, almost 5 months process will take. What is that? The first 2 weeks we can take requirement analysis and planning. After that, data acquisition, pre-processing we can take. Next, most of the people are spending this one, vector store setup and embedding creation. This can be dependent upon domain based. After that, long chain and RAG implementation. After that, a convolution search deployment. Next, finally, a testing, and finally deployment. This is not a regular software engineering practice. This is a generative AI projects models, step-by-step approaches. It's a 7 approaches when all companies are following when you design any generative AI applications. So the very important thing is, I told you vector DB. So when you are expert in generative AI, vector DB is very important. So vector DB is nothing but one type of a similarity check. So what is the store step? They are using some text chunking and embedding techniques, and most of the companies are free. All people are using Facebook vector DB. Some of the companies are using Melverse. Melverse is a very biggest database, vector DB. They find very easily or images generation, audio video, or movie generation also is possible by using that one. Some of the techniques, vector embedding techniques, most of the people are using cosine similarity techniques, and different types of similarity techniques are there. So our complexity when you are applying, so order of log n, that is a very important when you are applying vector embedding with respect to similarity. The RAG algorithm, very powerful algorithm. What is the process? We have variables called a query and vector store and LLMs, and what are the sets components. After, based on the query response, that means a person is asking some query. What is the process? They are first to embed. After that, similarity sets like cosine similarity. After that, context, based on the context. After that, prompt will come. Finally, we figure out return the best prompt. And most of the complexity we are experimenting order of D plus N log N K plus M. That is D is a embedding dimension, N is a corpus size, and M is the output length. So that means your complexity very less. User asks the question, immediately response will come by applying a RAG algorithm. So different types of databases are there in the work. So most of the companies are using FISS and Melverse database. So FISS is also million database, and also Melverse is a billion records at a time we can product. So most of the big companies, large scale enterprises, they are using Melverse is a vector database, and small companies are using FISS. So that's why I have taken a selection guide. Your vectors, vector means your vector DB store is less than 10 million. When you go for FISS data. If more than 10 million vectors, you can go for Melverse database. So like that, some implementation is there. These are the core components when you are doing any generative AI. LLMs is very important, frameworks and embedding techniques, vector store and backends. The backend is nothing but Fast API or Python. So the systems, when you are doing any projects, minimum requirement 8 plus core, 32 GB RAM and 500 GB SSD and GPU ops. Deploying is a very important concept when you are generating. So deploying, you can use Docker or Kubernetes, and cloud is also, most of the generative AI projects are using Google Clouds on Amazon Web Services, and cache memory purpose Radius they are using. For monitoring purpose, Grafana is very important. For most of the data is a streaming data. So that purpose you can use Kafka. So very important thing, when you system RAG implementation, very simple code I have generated. You can use a class definition RAG system. After that, vector store is possible. After that, questions. In the class, we can define 3 more components. One is embedding component, another one is vector store, that is vector DB, another one is based on the query component. Finally, we figure out the query response. So these are the, when you are design generative AI. So the evaluation metrics are very important. Retrieval of a quality purpose, they are using 5 metrics: precision, recall, mean average precision, NDGC. So generation purpose, that means your audio is good or your video is good, your text is good, they are using Blue score, Rogue score, and semantic similarity, human evaluation. And finally, the performance result is latency. Every project when you are design less than 2 seconds, accuracy more than 90%, and throughput area 100 plus users. When you are check it, then only your model is very good. Otherwise, your model is not good, you go for another algorithms. These are my talks, key takeaways. First, I discuss AI evolutions and generative AI components and different types of projects with respect to generative AI, and also career opportunities. So many career opportunities are there by expertise in. So that is my talk related to generative AI. So many opportunities are there. So many fundamentals purpose we can use, some linear algebra, mathematical, some frameworks you can use, LangChain, some open sources are there. So most of that depends upon the US market. $80,000 US is a generative AI expert when you are applying. Thank you for that.